Hi, and welcome to our first episode of the Pleasing God podcast, a brand new podcast focused on helping Christians to think biblically, engage practically, and to live faithfully for the glory of God. As we think about another podcast, oh no, aren't we oversaturated with all podcasts? There's podcasts for all kinds of things, whether it be a podcast for pastors or mothers or men, or podcasts that focus on current events or daily devotionals, podcasts for scholars and theologians and students. What we're looking to do here with this podcast is one that focuses on Christians in general, but under the topic of pleasing God. What does that look like? Everyday living, practical ways in which I can live a life that is pleasing to God. Oftentimes I think we're compartmentalized in our Christianity, and we can, think we've got our church life over here, and then we have our work life and our family life. And as long as we pay ample amount of time and attention to each of these compartments, we're living a well-balanced life. Well, as Christians, we know that's just actually not true. That all of life is to be lived in a manner that is pleasing to God. So on this podcast, what we're seeking to do is to take a variety of topics and issues and just consider them under this overarching framework of living a life that is pleasing to God. And so we're going to have episodes dealing with what does it look like to have a marriage that is pleasing to God? What does it look like singleness that is pleasing to God? What is it addressing the issue of pleasing God in the workplace, pleasing God as a manager, pleasing God as an employee? What does it look like to live a life that is pleasing to God just in my everyday walk of being a student or being a teacher? And ultimately, what does it look like to live a life that is pleasing to God as I walk through this world? And so, a variety of episodes that were planned out that we're looking to release. The idea is that this podcast is a weekly show. It will vary from having guests on, interviews. Sometimes it'll be just myself. But we just want to take certain topics and look at what they are and how they relate to living faithfully for the glory of God in a life that is pleasing to God. So the idea of this podcast really came as I was going into my church, and above the pulpit there is our vision statement or our mission statement, which states pleasing God and making disciples of Jesus Christ. And it's a weekly reminder every time we walk in and look at this, what our purpose for living is as Christians. And so as I continued and thought about that mission statement, I kept asking myself, what does it look like for me as a pastor, as a father, as a husband, as just a man of God? What does it look like in my life to be pleasing God in all that I do? And so from my own question comes this podcast and talking about what it looks like, how I can live a life that is pleasing to God. And it's ultimately rooted, I believe, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, where the Apostle Paul, writing to the Thessalonians, says, "Finally then, brothers, we ask and urge you in the Lord Jesus, that just as you received from us how you ought to walk and to please God, just as you are doing, that you do so more and more, so that you know what instructions we gave you through the Lord Jesus. For this is the will of God, your sanctification." And so in the weeks and episodes to come, from this framework of understanding of pleasing God, we want to explore many areas and have conversations with others, maybe experts in the field or those that have just been seasoned in life on a variety of issues. Also, just a little bit about myself. My name is Jonathan Soul. I'm a pastor at Quidnesset Baptist Church in Rhode Island. I studied my undergrad at Liberty University. I majored in Christian ministries and I had a minor in Christian counseling. From there, I went on to receive my Master of Divinity from Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and I currently a Doctor of Ministry student right now, studying applied theology at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. I've been serving in vocational ministry for about 9 years. I've been serving in local church ministries for nearly 12 years. I'm a second-generation pastor, raised in a godly home, and just wanting to seek to talk about things that are pleasing to God and how we as Christians can grow in the grace and knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ as we apply biblical truth in a practical way in order to live faithfully, glorifying God in all that we do. So I look forward to the episodes to come. I look forward to the conversations to be had. I look forward to hearing from you, the listener, feedback and any type of show suggestions that you might have as we go forward. But most importantly, I am excited that we can share in this journey of pleasing God and making disciples of Jesus Christ. For that is our mission. That is why we exist as believers, to glorify God in all that we do. So I look forward to the days and the weeks and the months to come, and I pray that you are blessed as you would listen and grow listening to this podcast.